go with the shutdowns, and that's just the reality of the pandemic. So a lot of them have to go with
Hello, everybody. Welcome back. Happy 2021. Woo, 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 woo. Yes, and moving forward, vlog number 28. We know it's been a minute. I don't want to hear it. We're working on it. We're working hard though, and that's probably the best part of you not seeing us is that we're actually doing things. So bear with us a little bit. Yes, I'm Renee with Anomaly the Agency.
I'm Chanel with Tracker 28 BD.
All right, and here we are. So obviously, 2021, beginning of the new year, first couple of days of January. Hopefully, everybody's feeling great. You know, 2020 was a hell of a year. Perspective, put everything into perspective. I'm sure, or I hope rather. But 2021, I really believe that this is going to be our year to kind of bounce back from every single thing. Fingers crossed, hard. But yeah, we just kind of wanted to shed light on what the new year's looking like, you know, fresh start, clean slate, new year, new you. You know what I mean? We hear it all the time. I don't personally love the resolutions thing. So for me, it's more just like, what new goals am I setting for myself? I think resolutions, they hear that and people automatically just don't carry them out at all. So at this point, resolutions is a negative word. So we're just not, we're going to put that to the side. We just want to talk about goals. So to get right into it, Chanel, what are your 2021 goals? One personal, one business.
One personal goal for me is to make sure it's something that I kind of already started doing, but like it's really a thing now for me. I'm trying to normalize it basically. With just being really intentional on who I spend my time with. Like, and I'm talking like every bit of my time throughout the day, down to the phone calls, down to text messages. I'm serious. Like, I'm really just trying to make sure that every conversation that I have is benefiting me and, you know, doing something for me in general. Right. And then a business goal of mine, I did launch now a third business and part of my expansion to Chapter 28 Beauty. And I'm just trying to make sure that I'm staying on goal throughout the year with that business as well. Right. So I already set goals for that business. It's just about maintaining my time and how I split my time up between my family and my businesses and staying on goal with the goal.
Right. Staying on goal with the goal. That's it. Okay. So 2021, what does 2021 look like for me? Personal goal. One thing that I've been thinking a lot about lately and that I've kind of just been noticing myself doing. You kind of come at me all the time about this. I don't tell anybody anything. I just sort of do things. And then I'm just like, oh, by the way,
working on that.
No, wait. So listen to what the goal is though. So the goal is I want to say less and do more. And so, but for me, I think it was really just a matter of kind of just working out the mechanics of what that actually means. Okay. I personally just feel I'm a communicator. So I spend a lot of time talking, whether it's business or it's personal or whatever the case may be. I do enjoy hearing a story, telling a story. But I realized that you spend a lot of time making conversation and trying to over explain a dream or a situation or whatever the case may be to somebody who just isn't ready to listen. And I think throughout 2020, I've really tying into what you were saying, I've really had a great time just distancing myself from people in a way that is so healthy and beneficial to both of us. So, you know, loving people at a distance, keeping people where I feel like they fit and where I fit for, I fit for them, you know what I mean? Because it's not just about how I benefit, it's about how they benefit too. And it's really been working. And I noticed that it's made my mental space a lot clearer. And I feel like it's really helped people understand, number one, how serious I am about my business and what I have going on. And then also just about my time, you know what I mean? Instead of spending all this time talking about all the drama you have going on, okay, we're going to talk about, hey, I really feel like I want to work on this. I want to, change this around, or, you know what I mean? Worst case scenario, I always tell everybody, when you're ready to have a real conversation, we talk. Other than that, I'm not going to take it personal if we don't hear from each other months at a time or whatever the case may be, because I understand that that's what we needed, you know what I mean, for both of us to stay sane in a sense. So going into 2021, just kind of carrying that on and just really just creating meaningful conversation. Of course we have our moments where we want to, chit chat, bonchiche, whatever, but it's getting old. You know what I mean? Quite frankly, we're all saying the same shit about the same shit. You know what I mean? And so, for me, I definitely, the saying less and doing more. I'd rather just all that time I spent like talking about a dream or trying to explain to you your own potential. I could just be like working on stuff, you know what I mean? And I could really just be carrying things out. And, so that's my personal goal. Business goal, definitely bringing in more clientele. I think in the realm that I'm in, public relations, being a publicist, you know what I mean? All of these things. Everything 2020 was about the election and COVID. That was the most interesting topic, most important topic. So when it came to garnering media attention, reaching out to reporters, pitching products, not everything was kind of put on a back burner. And I've seen these conversations in the PR community where every publicist is having the same issue, but it wasn't something that we could really control because everything that we were trying to put out there wasn't as important as who was going to be the next president and the number of cases spiking with this disease. So I'm definitely, my main goal is to start building stronger relationships with reporters, influencers, people in the media, and just kind of creating a stronger name for myself in the sense of who I am. Coming back to the city, people know me, but they don't know me as like within my business. You know what I mean? So right now I'm just trying to kind of recreate my name, recreate myself in the sense of, okay, you know me as whatever, but now I'm doing something different. And, I have clients that could really benefit from this and really helping my clients get to where they need to be as far as media attention. So that's probably my big goal. Yeah.
Oh, yes. Okay. So say less and do more with the personal and just in general, recreate and more business in business.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. And then business recap. All right, you're on 30. First of all, everybody, if you haven't paid attention, Chanel is definitely on the grind, whatever you want to call it. I just want to say, as always, I'm always super proud. I'm happy to be a part of this journey, happy to be a partner with Chapter 28 Beauty. I'm happy to be doing the things that we're planning on doing. But how are you feeling? Recap from 2020, what do you think?
The recap for 2020 was just like you said, grinding and hustling and trying to set the foundation. That was the whole point of 2020 for me. It was like the whole Chapter 28 rebranding and all that. I made a post on my Instagram about where the name actually came from.
Love that.
I decided to change my name so that people could kind of get an insight on the brand. Like, why is she the way that she is? What happened? Why did she go from Bella Enterprise to Chapter 28 Beauty? The life changes that happened. And I think that it wasn't until I wrote that post that I felt relief because I've been so anxious. Like when December 1st hit, I was anxious. I was stressing. I was just tired. I was exhausted. It was every emotion you can think of was running through me because I was like, I still have things that I wanted to kind of set the foundation for that I didn't have done yet. So I felt like I was in like overdrive and I couldn't stop myself. It was just something like, I have to do it. On top of that, that even with COVID-19, if you're a hairstylist and you're in this industry, it's extremely busy. You got, then you got the new, so it was just a whole lot going on, but I got through it best I could. And once I wrote that post about why I'm doing what I'm doing and where, and basically like the grounds of my business, I felt so much relief. It was like a weight lift off my shoulder. It was the end of the year. It was my birthday. It was a lot going on, but it was all in all the right time for everything. And I feel like I have everything set now. So, and I had it set as of the 30th. I mean, the last check on my list, get it done until the 30th. And at this point, it's now about me just putting things in place to move forward. And making things happen. It's no more talking. At this point, it's all action. It's meeting with people and putting things in place. I feel like that's something that in 2021, I have to get used to doing is less talking and more doing, like physically, because we do a lot of talking.
That's what I mean. Say less and do more. Yes.
I feel like if it's not an action that I'm, doing in 2021, it's nothing's happening with it then. Like,
right.
I don't want to talk about it no more. So,
right.
Yeah, that's where I'm at. And, honestly, things for 2020, when I look back on 2020 and my chapter 28, because that's my 28th year of life,
right,
it's going to be crazy in 5 to 10 years, 20 years from now. Like, if
absolutely,
I wanted it to be so that when somebody asked me, what time in your life were you most effective or you most ambitious, or I can easily refer back to when I was 28.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I have everything lined up to be able to speak on my chapter 28 in life and just in business. So my recap is I got everything done. I laid the groundwork, and now it's just about building on top of that with the people that I love and the people that support me.
Yes. And I will second that. Your grind is definitely nothing short of inspirational. Definitely. A couple of times I've been checked on her, what was it, last week? And I was like, yo, like, everything good. You know what I mean? Like, what's going on? Just checking in, because I know how you are, and you've always been a grinder. You've always been the make it happen, person in your own life. And so I think that that's true to your character. And of course, it's going to remain true. But I definitely think, I love the fact that, a majority of the girls in my squad, or just my squad in general, like just making things happen. You know what I mean? Not just the girls, the men too. Shout out, to them too. And I think during this time where we were going through a phase, or not a phase, but, we're going through a period of history where we can't do anything. And so I think that in itself created so many excuses for a lot of people, and maybe not excuses, but, just you want to push things to the side. You're being, you know what I mean? You're kind of just holding off on things because you're like, oh, because of the pandemic. And I completely get that. But I think also in the same sense, when you are able to take a time like this and really create some magic, I think that's like super like, okay, right. If I can get through this whole year, and this was the craziest year I've had, like hustle wise, and I've been doing things and you're booked and busy, and I'll be the first one, when we try to have clients on or whatever the case may be. And I'm like, well, the schedules, you know what I mean? Our schedules are off, and yours is way more off than mine, you know what I mean? Or not off, but you're busy, you know what I mean? You're booked and busy, as you should be. And so I love that. And I feel like we just need more of that. We need more things like keeping us occupied all the time. And so I just personally, I love seeing it. And I know it's not stopping anytime soon. So we'll see what 2021 looking like work-wise. Shoot.
2021 is going to be vicious. It's going to be vicious because all the things that we talked about in 2020, that not necessarily for what I got going on, but for actual partnerships and like blending things there. We got this moving forward vlog. Like, we still got things that we got to put in place for that, and that is a whole nother in itself. And those things are going to happen because they were being massaged in 2020. Like, okay, this is definitely what we're gonna do. Now I'm booking my appointment. Yeah, like it's happening. You know what I mean? So
yeah, for sure.
So sure. That's for me. So now let's recap your 2020, your business and life in general.
Right, 2020. Honestly, I think aside from the negatives that, again, came from the pandemic, and I feel like I've been saying this the entire time we've recorded, I truly feel as well that this was the year that I really just like hustled and I pushed things to the limits, and I kept, I really just went full force with my business, like being able to launch. And I had this conversation. I went to a public relations summit virtually a couple of weeks ago, and I met some really good PR people, and I had a conversation with one of them, and we're just kind of just exchanging information about our services and everything. And I had told them that I had officially launched in August, and they were like, oh, so you like launched during a pandemic? And I was like, yeah. And I was like, and it might've been crazy, but to me, it was like the best thing that I did. It kept me busy. It kept me pushed. You know what I mean? It kept me pushing. It kept me motivated. It kept me, when life outside of business was feeling a little hectic or whatever, like I felt good to have something that I could go to, and it was therapeutic. You know what I mean? Like I'm building something here. I'm laying the foundation. And that was what 2020 was really about for me, laying the foundation for my business, really, coming up with content to help people understand what I do, building a personality around my brand. I thought was really important. Anomaly, people don't always know what that means, but it basically means deviating from the norm, weirdo. I love weirdos. If you know me, you know what I mean? I'm not normal. So for me,
your mom should have named you anomaly. I don't even understand.
No. Yes. So, for me, it was just kind of everything kind of just tied together, and it all just kind of made sense to me because I had been holding on to that name for a while. And there was another business that's in advertising that had used the word anomaly as well. But I was like, it's a little different. And even, Anomaly, the agency, just everything that tied in, it just all made sense for me. So 2020 was really about laying that foundation and building on that. Again, garnering the media coverage and building relationships with journalists. I knew what it was all about. And I feel like that really gave me time to do my research and really focus and hone in on what my pitches are going to look like for clients, for myself, and really just understanding, what my niche is within the industry. Public relations is everywhere. Marketing is everywhere, but a lot of times you really have to figure out what kind of sets you apart in that aspect. So really just building in on, the foundation of my business, you know what I mean? What my purpose is within this business, how does it set me apart? You know what I mean? What's my niche? What do I really want to put out there? And I've had really great opportunities of really helping better understand that for myself. Just attending other networking events, whether it was virtual or in person, and, hosting raffles, doing all of these things, and creating things for people and getting some really great feedback. It really just helped me a lot. And so I really feel like I officially just put my name out there as a public relations person, a marketer, a publicist, an influencer in my field in some ways. And so that was really important for me. So that's what 2020, why? I am so done with 2020. I don't even, that's what 2020 was all about for me. And so it just, and again, I loved, you and, our other people, that we're surrounded by that are really just doing things. And I just love bouncing ideas off of people and, just gaining that inspiration. And it was just really important. I think it was a big year. And, it's completely understandable if this year was all about mental health for people. 2020 was a tough year. And mentally, I'm sure it didn't make it any better. There were layoffs, there's budget cuts, there's all of these things going on. Even just having to homeschool your kids, I saw that side of it for a lot of people. It's very tough. So that's okay too. And it's also okay for the people that did grind and really feel good about everything that they did, despite the fact that we were going through a pandemic. Definitely, feel good about whatever you did this past year. And then just move forward. My main thing, we were talking on New Year's Eve, just like, how do we feel about 2020 ending? And I was like, honestly, I love 2020 for what it was, but I'm truly ready for 2021. I have a lot of exciting opportunities coming up. I've been having some really great conversations with prospective clients, actual clients, and again, just communicating, keeping in touch with my community. That's one thing on social media. Start using hashtags in the sense of whatever you're interested in, whatever your passion is, follow that hashtag and you'll see a lot of posts that come up that are really inspirational to what you want to do, that are very relatable. That's the thing I love about my business account. I completely logged off of my personal account, and I checked in every now and then, but for the most part, everything that I do is strictly on my business accounts, just because I feel right now that's obviously what matters most, especially because of the field I'm in. Social media is a big part of that. So, the community that I had was just so uplifting, so inspirational, so just fun and amazing. And it really helped me get through that imposter syndrome where you're kind of feeling like, oh, what am I really doing? Like, am I really doing this? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know, that's a real thing. I was just having a conversation with somebody about that too. Is like, putting a word to it, that imposter syndrome where you're doubting yourself and you feel like everything you're trying to create is not going to make a difference in the world, push all of that aside. But it's hard. And it's not always as simple as, oh, nah, I'm bugging. You know what I mean? Let me get it together. Sometimes you really need a community to be able to communicate with and reach out to and, just gain inspiration from, if anything else. So that was really great for me. And I highly encourage anybody, business or not, to do that and to really become a part of this community and take advantage of, these remote conversations, these in-person conversations, and really start expressing yourselves. Because I think that at the end of the day, what this pandemic has shown me is like life is too short. And that really is all we have is, our word and, and our name. And so, we got to make the most of that. So, yeah.
Well, I did want to say, like, with you launching in the middle of the pandemic, was a shock to me because everything you do is super calculated and you overthink to the point where you might miss the mark. You know what I mean? It's almost like you wait for that moment to come back around again. So COVID, that we actually started to talk about things and share insight and come up with the whole moving forward vlog. And I didn't want to do it by myself. I'm like, I need somebody to talk with me. And Renee, would you do this? And we decided to do it. And it was just like, one thing about us is, when we have a conversation, it's literally about what we're going to do next. The conversation is never just stays on the phone and then dies when we hang up.
Right.
It's literally like, the next call is going to be the thing. So I do want to say that I'm very proud of you for like definitely taking a chance and stepping out on faith, because for me, I'm doing something I can almost guarantee that I'm going to get my money when I need to get my money. And for you, I'm doing personal services. For you, for your industry, it's a lot different. You got to do a little bit more to get people to understand the need and why you should have this. And then it comes with in the middle of a pandemic where people don't have any money. So now it's like, well, how are people going to pay you to do these? Like, how? It was a lot of different things. And I was just like, she's going to make it work. I couldn't do it. She's going to make it work. But your foundation is definitely set, and moving into, and we're here now, 2021. I feel like you're gonna excel very quickly.
Thank you. No, I mean, it just literally, it was really just like, you know what? Why not? You know what I mean? Why not do it right now? You know what I mean? Like, what else? You know what I mean? I'm not working as much. You know what I mean? Things are canceled. I can't, waste my time at social gatherings or whatever the case may be. Like, why not just launch this? I had been thinking about this for so long, working for just working with companies. I just realized, like, I'm super tired of working for other people. I'm so tired of working for the man. I'm so tired of working for people that genuinely don't take the time to understand people's situations and aren't empathetic to, the fact that we're not making anything and you have us overworking ourselves. And so that was something that I thought about first. And I was just like, what kind of boss do I want to be? You know what I mean? Like, what kind of person do I want to be for my future employees? Like, I don't want, and you see it a lot. You see it all the time, which is usually the starting point for people. And this is why they end up starting their own businesses, because they're all tired of that. And so I really was just like, I don't know what the turning point is for people aside from just being they become oblivious. You know what I mean? I had one boss who, was like, oh, other people's problems are not your problems. And I completely understood where he was coming from. I also felt like, as the person that signs people's checks and then also really determines how many hours per week these people, his staff is going to work, it kind of was like, okay. And it wasn't a full-time gig. So it was kind of like, okay, so you don't care about the fact that you are making a lot of money within your practice. You're getting paid enough money to the point where you could pay more money than what they're getting paid. You know what I mean? Like, you could focus a little bit more, or not even so much payment aside. People just want to felt like they're being seen, and that are kind of in higher positions that could really benefit from, especially small businesses, and, and like, the impact that we have, and, we're all growing and understanding that the lack of empathy just really kind of was like, I totally get what you're saying. But then at the same time, you seem kind of ignorant to the fact that, like, like, we can't even survive here off of what we're being paid. You know what I mean? And like, you expect us to be so well-rounded, but there's no opportunity to grow. There's no opportunity to grow. There's no opportunity to make more. There's no opportunity.
Right.
It is literally just a job, but you're expecting so much more from your workers. And so those kind of realizations, it was just kind of like, yeah, I think it's time. And then not only that, but applying. We had talked about this, how we were applying hard body, secure a position, whether it was part-time or not, to keep things afloat, just to help us fund our businesses and everything like that. And the fact, this is the first time ever that it's taken me this long to secure this full-time position. And we were just like, you know what? That means we're not supposed to do that. You know what I mean? We're not supposed to do that stuff. We're not supposed to be working for anybody else. We're really supposed to grind it out and make things happen with our own shit.
Yeah, we did have that conversation several times, and it got to the point for me where I was just like, yo, I am done. Like, I am going to today 100% of my energy into making my business work. And it was then that I started to receive all these doors started opening. And I just started to get opportunities from the left and the right. And it was just like, wow, it took me so long, but it's work. Everybody is not prepared for that. Everybody is not willing to put in that type of work and be that. Yes, I have a business, but I still need to make sure I also have a family. So I also have bills of my own that I have to pay outside of my business. So I had to make sure I had a backup and a safety net. But what I did learn was that we have to be comfortable without having a safety net. Like, program,
absolutely,
you need to have 10,000 in the savings, like, in order to make this and that. Don't make this move into. But we don't have the same opportunity as a lot of other people. Not necessarily speaking on color and nothing like that. Just where you're at in life. Like, your age plays a part. Your assets and your liabilities, huge part on what you're going to be able to get. Your credit, whatever the case may be. Like, we are not set up for success from the door, or everybody is not set up for success from the door. So some of them things really don't apply. We have to do what we can, and we have to take those chances when we can take those chances when the opportunity is there. Sure. We can't wait until our savings has 10 grand and it's made that, make that decision.
Right.
You know what I mean? That's one of the things that I just learned, like, safety net or not, I'm leaping out, I'm jumping out there. And I realized that without a safety net, I actually worked a lot harder than with a safety net.
Well, that goes back to, I agree. And that goes back to the same boss employer that I was working for also said, start before you're ready. And like, so and we talked about that. And that was like, I remember that. And I had already come back home with the thought of, okay, I'm going to start my business here. You know what I mean? I feel like this was a great place for me to just start off in general, because we have some good surrounding cities. And then we just have a lot of talent out here. And so when he said that to me, I was just kind of like, okay, yes, that completely makes sense. I love that. And it just kind of pushed me forward as far as, okay, you're not bugging just because you don't have $10,000 in your savings. You know what I mean? You're not. And so, and I think, my whole thing too is like, there is so much beauty in the struggle. You know what I mean? Shout out to J. Cole, because he was, you know what I mean? He spoke that. And like, but seriously though, like, literally, I learned to like really adore certain aspects of like my struggle. And I was just like, like, this is all part of the process. So that, like you said, when we look back 5-10 years from now, we're just like, yo, like, that was so crazy. We did all of this with literally nothing. You know what I mean? Like, we just hard work, you know what I mean? And that tunnel vision or whatever the case may be, and things got real, but we still made it happen. That's really just it. Like, that's the main thing. And I think a lot of that also falls into, like we always say too, having people that are surrounded by you that are doing good or better. And you know what I mean? At the very least, just have a positive mentality, a business mentality, because you'll be surrounded by the wrong people, and the wrong people will be like, oh, nah, I don't think you should do that, because it don't sound like you got it together. Like, how you about to do this and that without this and that, and that's an easy way to let go of your dreams, let me tell you. So, it definitely helps having people, I feel like we all kind of just blossomed in 2020. Like, a couple of us had even had businesses before and like really just pushed hard in 2020, like harder than ever. And I think that really set the standard, a whole new standard for their businesses and their outlook on life in general. And so, yeah, I'm just super excited about it. I think that it's going to be a great future's looking bright for everybody. I truly think that. I'm really hoping that people have the benefit of being able to interact normally now moving forward. But, you know, even so, we saw everything that we were capable of doing without that. And so, you know, we just can't let that hinder us, you know. But that's another thing. And, you know, I'm definitely looking forward to just more networking events, you know, aside from ours, First Fridays. Just networking in general. I love networking. I love meeting new people. I love communicating. I love exchanging ideas, disagreeing, agreeing. I love all of that. That really just fuels my fire. And so that's something that I'm really looking forward to. I hope that we are really in a position where people can get back to doing that and really just interacting, because I think that's one thing that we realize is how important that is. You know what I mean? Like, we literally found ways, like my CO squad, my Colorado squad, we would set like weekly, monthly Zoom hangouts, you know what I mean? And we would all get drinks, we would dress up, we would play music, we would just be so extra on the Zoom, and it was so much fun. You know what I mean? But had this pandemic not happened, mind you, we're all in separate places now, but had this not happened, we wouldn't have done that as often. You know what I mean? And go figure, at the end of this year, we ended up seeing each other and bringing in the new year together. So I think those things are really important. You know what I mean? I think instead of looking at all the negatives and the hardships, because it really was hard for a lot of people, of course, but just kind of twisting the perspective a little bit and just thinking about how much it's like made you realize what it's made you realize, because that's equally important, and that's going to fuel your fire for the next year or so. So
yeah. I wanted to say one thing, and this is the last that I'm going to say on this conversation, but I had to say it because it irritated me. And I usually don't go off and I don't rant like that, but this irritated the hell out of me. And it's a question. So, one trend that started in 2020 that you will not take into 2021. And I'm going to start so that you know exactly what I'm saying.
Okay.
A trend that started in 2020 that I was so for, of course, because it affected me greatly, but then too, because I'm passionate about it, is the whole support small businesses trend, where everybody gets into buying black-owned business, women-owned business, minority-owned, support. It seemed to me as that happened for maybe 2 or 3 months, and you guys went right back to the same old thing, whatever that may have been for you.
Right.
Y'all definitely didn't end the year with supporting small businesses the way you guys were doing it in the middle of the pandemic and all that.
Right.
And it is annoying to me. Like, for instance, I'll give you an example. Porcella is a boutique, an online boutique that Chapter 28 Beauty has partnered with, right? Okay. Porcella started in the middle of the pandemic, launched in the middle of the pandemic. After about 2 or 3, I would say not even a month after all of the launch and stuff like that, and everybody, this is at the end part of people supporting small businesses that it launched. And, you know, when people come to me talking about, Sephora's having a special buy one get da-da-da-da-da, or Ulta or Target or Fashion Nova, and you're naming all of these other businesses, right? All of these people who are gonna make it. And I just told you that, for instance, Porcella or any other small brand that I'm following here, having the same, they're probably 10 times better. But we're just not focused on that. You know what I mean? Anymore.
Right.
It makes no sense to me. And why in the hell would I buy from Target when I can buy from Porcella? That doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense for me personally. Like, if you know a brand that you've bought from and you're willing to shop again, and you see they're having a sale, and it doesn't have to be what I'm talking about, any brand that you know. Everybody knows somebody that has a clothing. Everybody knows somebody that has a boutique or has something going on at this point, whether it's hoodies, sweatpants, whatever the case, t-shirts, and then boutique-ish wear. for male and female, why are we still sewing into these bigger brands that we know are going to make it? Like,
Right.
that irritated me. So now moving into 2021, I'm still doing what I was doing before, was supporting these smaller brands and these people who are just trying to get their brands off the ground or maintain, or, you know, it takes a lot. So I'm still supporting these people. I have not gone to any store. I actually stopped ordering off of Amazon to the point where, like, I'm really shopping super small. I'm shopping small, super small. So yeah, that was my trend that I was just like, I'm over it. Y'all really ain't what you say you are type of thing. Y'all really don't do what you say you're gonna do. So you're not going to go back to your old way. It is what it is. Cool. Go ahead.
Right. Yeah, I agree, actually. That's so funny because I was just thinking yesterday, there were a couple of places that I actually stopped shopping at a frequency just because I was like, I don't, in the midst of like the Black Lives Matter movement and everything that was going on, they just kind of showed their ignorance. And I was like, I don't want to support that. I think I don't know. I think everybody's different, and I think it's important for them to understand what their values are, and, you know, going back to meaning what they say and saying what they mean. You know what I mean? And so for me, with two businesses in particular, that I was like, I'm definitely not supporting you anymore. And these were businesses that I went to regularly, and I was just like, I can't do it. Unfortunately, like I don't want to do it anymore. Like, I can't. So I agree wholeheartedly, and I think that's super important. I think people really get caught up in the idea of convenience and comfortability. I think that for people that are scared to take the risk, that ties right into, oh, okay, I'm so comfortable with going to this place and paying twice as much or whatever the case may be, but I am not comfortable with going to this new place if things look limited, if it looks like it's like not really, you know, like, I think that's what kind of catches people in their own minds. But I agree. I think that small businesses, that was definitely a trend. And I kept thinking that throughout the year. I'm like, wow, we're really, you know, popping now. You know what I mean? Small businesses are really a thing now, but let's keep that same energy though, when the world is completely open back up and you can travel and do and go and spend whatever you want to. Let's make sure that you're still, at least, I mean, for me, it doesn't have to be every single thing in your life if you don't want it to be, but at least some things, you know what I mean? Some things, like if you can't really make a full switch, okay. But if you can't take the time to really go into a small business, buy a pen, you know what I mean? A piece of paper, whatever, like something small, then I think that all of that support and all that hype, you know what I mean? You really played yourself with that. And I agree 100%. I think we have to get it together. I think that, you know, you have to recognize that small businesses have been a thing. We're not just a trending topic. There are literally friends and family members that could truly benefit from a simple repost. One thing that annoyed me with that was the amount of people, and everybody in the city is guilty of this. People with a high amount of followers or too much pride is what it comes down to. Don't want to like repost or even follow you back or anything because it's off brand for them. It's off brand personally for them. I can't stand that shit. I understand that you might have an image to uphold, but honestly and truly, if you're so worried about a social media image, you have bigger issues than just reposting something that costs you absolutely nothing. You know what I mean? You say that you support your friends and family, but you are not willing to repost. You're not willing to like, you're not willing to comment, engage. And whether whether you purchase something from them or not, I mean, that's literally it costs $0 to support in so many ways. A repost, a tag, a like, a share, you know what I mean? Whatever the case may be, shouting us out, whatever. Like, small businesses need that way more than Gucci and Fendi and Prada and all these places that don't even care for you as a customer. Let's be honest. So, you know, that was really big, specifically in the Black community, because our Black dollar, we learned this year that our Black dollar was very important, but they still don't necessarily value you as customers. And so for me, it's a matter of, you know, take that for what it is, you know, because had it been me telling you like, oh, nah, I'm not serving you, or I'm serving you in a certain way because of the color of your skin, you would have had a problem with that because I'm a small business and you feel like less threatened by that. But you feel threatened by these major companies because you feel like you have no choice but to rely on them, when that's so far from the truth. So far from
Right.
the truth. You know, these mom and
Right.
pop shops that you've been localing forever, and you think that that's, come on, you know, the papi stores, the mommy stores, anybody's stores, they're selling toilet paper, hair products, they're selling literally everything. And you're not showing them the same love. You know what I mean? When you walk into a store where you got to pinch pennies and all of that for. So I think to second that, I definitely agree with that. I think that we could be better. We could really be about our word when we're going into these situations. And just realize that we have more of an impact than we think we do.
Right.
My trend that I just couldn't stand all throughout 2020 that I would love to leave is the phrase, it's the blank for me. Yeah, I could not stand that.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry. That was the most annoying part of 2020. I just literally was like, what is it? Like, what is it for you? Like, okay, it's the hair for me. It's the relationship for me. It's this for me, girl, like, or boy, or here, or whatever.
I didn't use that phrase not one time in
Not a
2000.
single time. Not a single time.
Because once I see people started using it, I was just like, where did this come from?
Right.
And why? I must have been asleep. I had to have been asleep.
I had to have been. And it's really just like, and for me, like seeing businesses just it's the this for me. And like, I get, because with businesses, you want to fall into trends and stuff like that. But every time I saw it, I was just like, no, I won't be doing this one. So sorry. Catch me with the next one. But it's the what for me, really. It's right. I don't know. It just was really annoying. We could keep it in 2020. So that was my annoying trend of the year. That was the one that I was not messing with that one at all.
Yeah, we both. We're very similar, because that for sure. I never used that phrase.
No.
Just because I feel like if it's something that you like or something that you should put your own twist on it, give your own explanation.
For sure.
I'm not sure exactly what that means and like how much you like that.
Right. Do you love it or do you hate it? Like, is it like, because it could easily be, it's the rudeness for me. Okay, so did you like that? Or was that something that you just weren't for? You know what I mean? Like, you're not really making sense of yourself. It's just another way to tear us down as a community. I personally think too, is like, we start talking real ignorant, and it's just like, and people want to have fun. And I'm not even knocking that. Like, absolutely, by all means, like, do that. But it was just not, it didn't resonate with me at all. I was just like, I'm not feeling this one. I'm not feeling this one. And I talk I talk in Ebonics. I speak how I want to speak sometimes, but like that it totally missed the mark for me. I was just like, yeah, nah, it's the not using, it's the this for me. So yeah, that's my rant. Fridays. And we do put our heart and soul. This is truly such an important event for both of us. My original plan with the events was actually to start January 2021. And that was around the same time that a little after we were talking about the vlogs. I was just like, hey, I pitched this idea to her, and I was like, I really kind of want to do this. And I wanted her, again, specifically to do this because we have similar mindsets. We're always talking business, or we're talking positive. And, Chanel doesn't stand for anything less than greatness. You know what I mean? And I'm over it as well. So, I just thought it would be really great for us. And because we always thought about ways that we could give back to our community. And honestly, this was one of the things that made the most sense to us. Reading is so full of love, light, and talent and everything. It's just that a lot of us choose to ignore that, or we choose a totally different lifestyle. And that's everybody's hometown, but I can't speak for anybody else's hometown. I can only speak for mine. And so it was really important for us to put this together. I totally acknowledge there's so many people out here doing big things on the low too. And shout out to you. You know what I mean? You're just making things happen. You're not speaking on it until it's your time. And we really just wanted to create a space where you could come together, meet like-minded individuals, even whether you have a business or not. That's not really, of course, we have businesses, that's what we talk about, but it's not just for that. Whether you're a student or you're just thinking about doing anything at all besides what you're doing right now, come come, show love, show support. You know what I mean? Come, have a good time, get some drinks. You know what I mean? It's not meant to be awkward. We really genuinely have a great time with people. It really is meant to connect a little differently. You know, I'll be the first to say I really wasn't excited to join too many of the networking groups that we have in the city because they all seem a little too conservative and a little too uppity, for lack of a better word. And I just didn't want that. You know what I mean? I don't want to have to water myself down for anybody, because whether I'm brand new or I've been in the game for 20 plus years, I have my own personality. And I think that's really important, you know? So we just really wanted to create a space where you can come together, be who you want to be, and make the most of it. And, you know, and personality is everything when it comes to branding, you know what I mean? And really just have those conversations around things like this, you know, things that you feel you can't talk about with everybody. So last year it did a number on a lot of us. So it would just be good to, you know, shift the narrative a little bit, change your perspective, and at the very least, just meet new people that can point you in the right direction. You know, like, we don't claim to know everything there is to know, but we really just enjoy the inspiration that we gain from being around other people. So, and that's what these are all about. So no pressure, but, you know, you should really be coming. You should really be coming to the event. Thank you so much. Happy 2021 to everybody, regardless of what you do or decide not to do. You know, just no matter what, decide to be a better person for yourself. You owe it to yourself to let go of bad habits and to, you know, remove yourself from the toxicity that you've been holding on to for so long. Let this be a fresh slate for real. You know, we say that every year, one way or another, but let this year really count. You know what I mean? You see what can happen when we get things taken away from us. So let's take advantage of the opportunities that we have moving forward. And as always, we're here. If you need to chat with us, have a conversation, have some questions.
I am Chanel with Chapter 28 Beauty.
And I am Rane with the Nominated Agency.
We're logging out. We'll see you guys next time. Bye.
And forward.